Hello and welcome to RS Agarwal's IA. In this video of the Daily News Express, let us discuss the important topics appearing in the Hindu newspaper dated 30th October 2020. Let us start. The first topic is about a new organization that is going to come up, or a new body that is going to come up. This caters to GS paper 3 as well as prelims examination. Let us see the headline that the center sets up a new commission to tackle NCR pollution. 22-year-old EPCA, that is Environment Pollution Authority, dissolved. New body brought in through an ordinance awaits for the formal perusal by the Supreme Court. Now, there was this body called as EPCA, or the Environment Pollution Prevention or Control Authority. Now, this body was bought out or constituted under the Section 3 of the Environment Protection Act of 1986, specially for the NCR region, or the National Capital Territory region is Delhi, in compliance to the order given by the Supreme Court in the year 1998. Now, this body was entrusted with the power to take care of the air pollution in the region. It also had suo motu powers to look into the complaints given by any individuals and also ensure compliance. Due to several shortcomings and due to several limitations of this body, now this has been dissolved and a new body has been brought out by the Senate. This is called as Commission for Air Quality Management in NCR region. Commission for Air Quality Management in NCR region plus adjoining region. So this body in simple is called as the Commission for Air Quality Management, right? So we have to understand that apart from NCR region, this body will also cater to air pollution in Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan region. This body has been brought out through an ordinance of the central government and currently waits for a formal perusal of the Supreme Court, like it is mentioned here. We have to understand that this body has more powers than what EPCA initially had and has more roles to play. It has the power of coordination among these states. It has the power to levy fines. Also, it has the power to constitute special investigation groups as well. These are the important functions of this body. We have to understand that there will be 6 members in this body, apart from one chairman person who will be the level of secretary to the government. Some person or an individual who is the level of the secretary to the government will be appointed as chairman, and there will be 6 members who will be either ministers or other members appointed by the government. There will be the central branch that is in Delhi, and there will be several state branches as well that will provide coordination. So this is what we are supposed to understand from the point of view of this news, that EPCA has now been dissolved and a new body has come into picture called as the Commission for Air Quality Management. Commission for Air Quality Management at the NCR region, also in the adjoining areas like Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. I hope this news is clear and the concept is understandable. Let us move on to the next one. This editorial is a follow-up of how the Acer report provided several shortcomings in the rural education of India. This caters to GS paper 2 issues related to education, and this topic is about the Acer report, or the annual status of education report conducted by NGO Pratham. In yesterday's DNE, we have discussed the findings of this report. Now let us see what the editorial in the Hindu talks about with regards to this survey. First, Hindu editorial says 2 things that are needed here. First, the government should think and go ahead with remedial measures. The government should think and go ahead with remedial measures for safe return of children to the school. This is the first thing that the government should do. Second, it should make remote learning possible. Remote learning possible. Now, what is the meaning of remote learning? Remote learning is sitting at your homes and learning through the solutions or through the means that you have. Hindu also gives an insight into the findings. The first insight is that the enrollment has increased in government schools than private schools by 5%. So this is quite a good thing for the government schools, and this is a bad thing for the private schools. And the possible reason for this is that the government schools are more cheaper for these people to afford. Basically, they don't have to pay fees or huge amounts with regards to private schools. Hence, the government schools have seen an increase in the enrollment. And then you have lack of enrollments. That means in comparison to the previous years, how much enrollment were seen in these schools, it has gone down. See, there are 2 different aspects. Do not get confused. This is enrollment in comparison to government and private, and this is enrollment in general. and in general enrollment has gone down for simple reasons that the parents are not yet satisfied with sending students to the school, or they do not believe that school is a safe platform for the children to go and stay for 8 hours in a day or so many hours in a day. Another important finding we need to be aware of is the digital divide that we have seen. Digital divide is that 43.6% students in government schools don't have a smartphone. So how will they access online education? How will they access online classes? So it's an important question that's asked about digital divide. And we have to understand that 67.3% reading material or learning material has been received by WhatsApp. So if these children do not have a smartphone, how will they get learning material? Another important insight provided by this editorial. So what is needed here is more and better intervention. More and better interventions in the form of new learning techniques or new ways to learn. Partial reopening of schools can be done, or online learning can be focused in the right manner. So all these things are spoken about here. Let us learn some important things again. The editorial also says textbooks have been fondly mentioned. If you see, students can still learn during the pandemic if they get textbook and resources, but the survey says a lot of students don't have access to textbooks. So expanding the availability of textbooks becomes very important. Then readmissions should be considered. Readmissions, the space for readmission should be provided by having sanitation, social distancing, and such kind of activities in school. If it is not possible, what we have to do is bridge the gap between the education aids. For today, they are just smartphones and laptops, which comes with internet. So if we are able to bridge the gap, that is, I spoke to you about digital divide, we will be able to provide education. Apart from that, the editorial also talks about guidance by teachers in rural areas. Now, these teachers who are there in the rural areas can go from home to home or have like a field where they can come out and discuss. See, this idea has been practiced predominantly in the South Indian states, and there are several other ideas also that have been brought out in the South Indian states like Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu, where a scheme called Vidyagama scheme has come into picture, where the children are taken together in a field of the school or some other fields where they are made to sit in social distance and classes are taken, or they go to that area and in that particular area those many children are there, they come and attend the class for that, and this is called the Vidyagama scheme that's coming to picture in some of the southern Indian states. They are also taken the initiative of videos where the classes or the lessons are done in videos, and those videos are published on the internet and on the television. In Karnataka, this has become very popular. They have done it. The Karnataka's education department has done it. They have their own TV channel, just like the DD for national. They have DD in Karnataka. They are playing this, and in the internet they have the YouTube channel in which they are playing that as well. So all in all, what is happening is they are trying not to make 2020 a zero year. This is what they are trying to do. But then in schools it's pretty tough, and the editorial says the same thing, that we have to try not to make this a zero year. So I hope this new insights have a lot of importance for you guys. I hope you've understood what we are trying to say. You can inculcate this in your answers and get some more points as well. Well, let's move on to the next topic. This topic is about stubble burning and a new revolution that is going to come in the farming if it is successful. Let us learn some basics first. What is stubble burning? What is stubble burning? Stubble burning is when you have the crops that are procured, and those crops leave stubble on the field. Once the farmers cut the crop, of course they can't cut it from the root level. Hence, if this is the field, if these are the crops, once they are cut, they leave the stubble there. So what has to be done with the stubble? If the stubble exists, they will not be able to replant or they'll not be able to recrop. Hence the farmers burn this stubble, as this will save them money and as will save them time. So they will burn this stubble. That is called as stubble burning in very simple words. Now this article says that Green Revolution played an important role in giving rise to stubble burning, because Green Revolution led to increase in the production of wheat and rice, and stubble burning predominantly happens in North India, in northern parts where wheat and rice is grown, and once it's grown, it has the stubble has to be taken off so that they can replant it again, replant new crops or new produce again. So due to Green Revolution, the increase in the stubble burning happened, and due to the production of increase in the production of wheat and rice. As this was a low cost solution, they didn't have to pay a lot of money. Now this stubble burning is very harmful for us because it not only releases greenhouse gases, it not only releases harmful gases and toxins, it not only pollutes the environment and brings out like a blanket in regions like the Gangetic Plain, the National Capital Territory, so on, but it also impacts soil fertility, which reduces. Stubble burning impacts soil fertility. It destroys the organic fertility of the soil or destroys the organic nature of the soil. Then it also impacts the groundwater levels, which reduce in the region. It also impacts the groundwater levels that reduce in the region. If you talk about stubble burning during the time of COVID-19 and this impacts that has on people, it will affect people more and more. It will not help people in recovering if they catch COVID-19 because stubble burning is related to air pollution, and air pollution is related to our lungs, and of course COVID-19 is also predominantly related to our lungs. So if we are living in this area when we have stubble burning, where we have stubble burning as an important phenomena that occurs and several problems associated with it, it will be tough for us to recover from COVID-19 pandemic. Now, what are the steps that the government has taken to get rid of stubble burning? First, we have to see that in the year 2013, the Punjab government banned stubble burning. In the year 2015, NGT banned stubble burning in various regions and asked for new alternatives that can be provided in this region. Like, there was the happy seeder technology that was used that will remove the stubble from the ground itself. So these kind of technologies were suggested. And then in section 188 of the Indian Penal Code, stubble burning is an offense. Supreme Court intervened and set up a one-man committee to suggest alternatives to stubble burning and to solve the problem. Later came an app that was developed. Now this app could identify where exactly the stubble is burnt. Not it could identify on its own, but people around could report that this is exactly the place where stubble is being burned, so that it could be stopped immediately. Apart from that, this one-man committee was now replaced by the union government, which set up a permanent commission to find a solution to this problem. Now, the biggest solution that we have, or the biggest answer to we have, is the Pusa decomposer that is being bought out. Please remember the name, the Pusa decomposer. Now, this Pusa decomposer is being developed by Indian Agriculture Research Institute, IRAI as we call it. Indian Agriculture Research Institute is developing this. Now this Pusa decomposer is nothing but 4 tablets. These 4 tablets that are made of fungi strains. These 4 tablets that are made of fungi strains will decompose the straw or the stubble. Decompose the straw or the stubble, which is done at a faster rate than usual. So what happens is the stubble is there. The stubble is there when these tablets are added. Due to the fungi strains of their formation, they decompose this stubble faster than usual. And once the decomposition is going on, they also provide the option to the farmers to shred the straw, to shred it, and then spray solution on it which contains fungal strains, and then mix it with the tablet so that the decomposition occurs. Now to give a little bit of detail, we have to understand this. These are nothing but decomposers which are made from the fungi strains that will help to decompose the paddy straw at a faster rate. Now the fungi the fungi helps to produce essential enzymes in the degradation process, and this would rule out the need to burn the stubble, and the essential microbes or the essential fertilizers that the bacteria needs, or the nutrients that the soil needs, is there and is not damaged, right? So the mixture that they are using here it involves liquid formulation using the decomposer capsules, and it is fermented in over 8 to 10 days, and then like I told you, it is sprayed on the mixture is sprayed on the fields with the crop stubble to ensure biodecomposition, and the farmers can predominantly prepare it on their own, and it takes around 20 days for the decomposition to take place. In general, if you wait for decomposition, it takes more than 45 days. So if you use this capsules, it will take 20 days. At least 20 days leeway has to be given by the farmer, and this can help in the better solution or the easier solution. It improves the fertility of the soil also, and if it can work as a catalyst to propel the productivity of the soil. It is also eco-friendly, and it can also stop the burning of the stubble, and can also stop the pollution, air pollution related to this aspect. Well, I hope this is the new revolution that coming in the farming field is understandable. This caters to GS paper 2 and your GS paper 1 as well. It can also be asked in your prelims examination. So please remember the idea of the PUSA decomposer. With this, let us move on to the next topic. Here we are talking about India and USA. GS paper 2 international relations. This topic becomes relevant from, and we have to understand that USA today is our important defense partner. It is a very important defense partner, and this article and the author gives us a timeline about how USA has become our defense partner, a very, very important defense partner. Let us learn the timeline. It starts from the year 1991 when we had the Kick Light Up proposal. Remember this, we had the Kick Light Up proposal which spoke about coordination between USA and the Tri-Services of India. Tri-Services, Army, Navy, Air Force. So this spoke about coordination which India acceded to, and then came in the year 1995 where defense secretary level dialogue took place and led to the formation of a technology group between India and US. Then we move on to year 1998 where India did the nuclear test, and this was not liked by the USA because we were not a nuclear powered nation and we had not signed the CTBT and NPT, and hence USA imposed sanctions on us. USA imposed sanctions on us. Now it took us 2 years and 18 round of talks to get rid of these sanctions, and Minister of External Affairs that time, late Mr. Jashwant Singh, played a very important role in this 18 round of talks. And in the year 2005, of course, 2 years it led to the solution of the problem, and on paper 2005 the sanctions were officially lifted. In the year 2005 the sanctions were officially lifted, and we developed a 10-year framework for defense cooperation. We developed a 10-year framework for defense cooperation with USA, and in the year 2013 the joint declaration for defense was signed. Please remember, in 2005 a 10-year framework for defense cooperation was developed, and in the year 2013 the joint defense declaration was signed. Of course, in the year 2015 this was renewed. So every 10 year we have this renovation of this framework that we have signed. So what does this framework do for us? Let us know. So the framework we signed in the year 2005, which is the 10-year framework for defense, caters to several aspects. One is joint exercises. We have several joint exercises with USA. Write to me in the comment section about which are those. Then you have the intelligence exchange. You have a joint training for multinational operations like disaster relief, disaster management, humanitarian assistance, etc. So through this 10-year framework, we have done all this with USA, and then we come straight to year 2005 where we signed the very, very important India-US civil nuclear deal. This becomes a very important milestone in the India-US relations. We signed the India-US civil nuclear deal, and through this framework also got propelled. Apart from this, in all this defense cooperation, we have to see that the trade and commerce between India and USA went up. Also, we can talk about diaspora or soft power that also went up, which significantly contributed to our defense cooperation. We had high-level diplomatic summits starting from the time of P.V. Narasimha Rao government, followed by Atal Bihari Vajpayee government and Manmohan Singh sir. All these people went ahead, and now Narendra Modi ji is doing a great job, and the author talks about how Narendra Modi government has brought an overhaul to this relationship by exploring new areas, and new possibilities that were not even thought of with these people, especially by Mr. Manmohan Singh, who was very reserved and was stuck to the labels that were provided. Narendra Modi government spoke about several things. We had the joint strategic vision for the Asia Pacific or the Indian Ocean region. This was a very new thing that explored now, which resulted in the Indo-Pacific strategy or the Quad. We know that the two things are different, but then we are looking at in a similar light. Apart from this, we had the India-USA commercial dialogue as well in Narendra Modi government. And of course, now we are with the 2+2 summit, which is the third one we had in the year 2020, which was the third one. And since the time of Obama, who was the president before Mr. Trump. These relations with India have been great, and Modi ji has proved an efficient leader for representing India in the US. Well, through 2+2 we had the BECA now. We have signed the BECA, which is one of the four important foundational framework agreements that any country can sign with USA. We had signed the General Security Memorandum of Agreement in the year 2002, very long back ago. And then we signed the LEMOA or the Logistics Agreement in 2016, and then we signed the COMCASA in 2018, both under the Modi government. And under the Modi government, we have signed the BECA agreement as well. These are all the ways we have cooperated with USA and gone ahead with USA as a very, very important ally and a very, very important friend. But we have to understand that India does not stand as an ally, neither as an adversary of USA. Please understand this. India is neither an ally nor an adversary. Now you might question, why is India not an ally? Because a country is an ally when it leaves all its affiliations and only becomes or only rests with friendship with USA. Now, if you see, USA is on crossroads with USSR. Now it is called as Russia, right? So it's on crossroads with Russia, it's crossroads with Iran. Does India have relations with Russia and Iran? Yes, very good friends, very good relations. Then how are we an ally of USA? No. So what we can call ourselves is an equal partner, engaging equal partner. India is an engaging equal partner and also a major defense partner of US. So this is how we are supposed to call it. And USA has been a good friend for us, and it is supported in various arenas, various joining like Quad, for example. Quad has been a very important strategy for India. It has helped in Indo-Pacific region, etc. Quad. You can talk about the Australia group, the Wassenaar arrangement, the MTCR. USA has helped us in all of this. Even United Nations Security Council's non-permanent seat, USA has helped us there also. But China has its important role to play where it is blocking our entry in NSG and so on and so forth. But that's a different aspect altogether. But we have to understand that USA has helped us. There is another important agreement or a cooperation called as the Five Eyes Intelligence Group, formed by five important nations: Australia, New Zealand, Canada, UK, and US. USA has also invited India to come into this Five Eyes Intelligence Group. Apart from this, we have to understand, since the longest of the time we were a non-aligned country, but our signaling shifted when we started friendship with USA also, with USSR also, and we called it non-aligned movement 2.0. But then there are just labels, right? So the author says we have to move ahead from the labels. We don't have to label anything, but we have to be an open, established entity to take care of these relationships and to progress them in a steady and the right manner. So first we have to understand that USA is a very important country for us, very important ally for us, a very important friend for us, not an ally. So we have to make sure that our friendship is maintained in the right. So I hope this timeline is clear and you can use this to write about India US relations if a question is asked in your UPSC mains GS paper 2. There are so many points that we have mentioned. Quickly go through it or make note of it, and let's move on to the next topic. Well, this is the last topic. This caters to GS paper 3 and prelims facts vis-a-vis economy. So first thing we're going to talk about is fiscal deficit. So fiscal deficit, the word fiscal means money and deficit means gap. So let us see the formula of fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit equals total expenditure minus revenue receipts plus non-debt capital receipts, right? Please note this. Fiscal deficit is equal to total expenditure minus revenue receipts plus non-debt capital receipt. So in simple words, the fiscal deficit is the gap between government's expenditure requirements and government's receipts. That is how much it earns and how much it spends. The gap between that is called as the fiscal deficit. And this also equals the money that the government has the government needs to borrow, not has borrowed, the government needs to borrow in order to fill this gap. This is called as the fiscal deficit. Non-debt capital receipts is also a part of this because it is a part of government's revenue. Non-debt, that is, it is not liable to be paid back. Non-debt, hence is a part of the government's revenue. Now again, let me repeat it. It's a difference between government's expenditure and government's revenue, and it is a reflective of the total borrowing requirements of the government. That is the how much money the government has to borrow. Now fiscal deficit is important because it provides us exact figure of what has happened and how the economy is going to progress. So in an economy, there is a limited pool of investable savings, right? There is a limited pool of it, and these savings will be further used by financial institutions like banks or other private businesses or other private financial institutions to lend to businesses and to the government. And if the fiscal deficit is too high, it implies there is a very less amount of money left in the market for these people to borrow from these banks. Let me repeat it. In an economy, there is a limited pool of investable savings, and these savings are used by the banks and such financial institutions to lend to businesses or private businesses or government. And if the fiscal deficit is too high, the ratio of fiscal deficit is too high, then this amount of the investable savings will be very, very less for these private entrepreneurs or the market or the government to borrow. So lesser amount of this money leads to higher rate of interest. So lesser amount leads to higher rate of interest which is charged on the lending, right? So simply let us put it like the higher fiscal deficit means higher borrowing by the government, which means higher interest rates. Very, very simple, very understandable, and very important concept that we need to be aware of. Let us know what is next here. Here we are talking about the core sector, core sector of the economy. The core sector of the economy is a part of the index of industrial production. Now, the index of industrial production shows the growth rate of different industries in the economy, the growth rate or the growth activity of different industries in the economy over a fixed period of time, let's say 1 year or 1 month. This index of industrial production is released by National Statistical Office, which is a part of Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, or MOST. Now, the index of industrial production as an indicator measures the growth rate of industry classified into two broad sectors or use-based sectors. Broad sectors include mining, manufacturing, electricity. Use-based sectors include basic goods, capital goods, and intermediate. Apart from this, it consists of 8 core industries, which is this core sector, and lowest core sector shrinking since March has been seen. So this 8 core industries which form a part of the core sector has been shrinking. Now this core sector weighs almost 40% of the index of industrial production, and it has 8 core industries which include refinery products, which has the highest weightage, followed by electricity, which has the second highest weightage, then steel, coal, crude oil, natural gas, cement, and fertilizers. The base year for the calculation of index of industrial production is 2011-12. So this is the core sector that we are talking about. Let me repeat it. The index of industrial production is the indicator of the growth rate of industries in an economy over a fixed period of time. It is released by National Statistical Office under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now this indicator divides industries into two groups: broad sectors or use-based sectors. Broad sectors include mining, manufacturing, electricity. Use-based include basic goods, capital goods, and intermediate goods. Then there is the 8 core industries which form the core sector of the index of industrial production and weigh 40% of the index of industrial production. Now these 8 core industries are refinery products, electricity, steel, coal, crude oil, natural gas, cement, and fertilizers. And refinery products has the highest weightage, fertilizers has the lowest weightage, and this the base year for calculating index of industrial production is 2011 and 12. This is a very important because it measures the physical volume of production in an economy, and it is used by several important stakeholders in the economy to decide their policies or interests. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for staying tuned to RS Agarwal. Keep watching for more videos and more topics related to. Stay tuned to RS Agarwal. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take care. Bye bye.